ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। Good morning. This is our Vivekananda Study Circle, IIT Madras, Sunday regular classes. We'll be discussing this topic, yoga and self-control. This is in connection with the International Yoga Day that will be celebrated across the world tomorrow. And the theme for tomorrow's celebration is Yoga for Wellness. In that context, we will discuss a little about how we understand yoga and how the essence of yoga is seen in the self-control that is attained through the practice of yoga. Now, the word yoga is having so many ramifications. People use it in so many different understandings that it has led to a lot of confusion. Naturally, when we talk of yoga, one who practices it is called a yogi. So, who is a yogi and what is this yoga? There are so many interpretations and understandings for that. Each has its own tradition, and how we progress in each depends on that tradition and the purpose behind that practice. What we see now as International Yoga Day is more concerned with the body and the mind, the health of the body and the mind, so that I can go through my everyday life with less stress, less disease, be at ease, and enjoy my life in this world. That is what the general understanding of Yogasana is. But there is, in our own tradition, we know it is just a part of this, what is called yoga asanas, asana. The physical postures is one aspect, a part of what we call yoga. Again, as I said, we will see there is a difference in understanding of yoga there. People start with this word, yoga. How does it come? They go to the root, the Sanskrit word, its root, they say yuj, that is to unite, union. So, what unites with what? There will be so many differences there. According to Vedanta, it is the Jivatma uniting with the Paramatma. That is the individual Jivatma entity, the one who thinks I, so and so. He becomes one with the Supreme Consciousness, that is to say, his individuality is lost. He breaks out of his individuality. That is the Vedantic understanding of yoga. Again, in Vedanta itself, there are other schools who have a little different interpretation, understanding of yoga. In more common understanding, yoga is connected with the Ashtanga yoga. Common masses, the mainstream, they understand this more as part of Ashtanga yoga, and the practitioners of these yogasanas, they insist that yogasana is an independent path to the reality. It is not just one of the angas, branches, aspects of a big stream of practice. It is independent by itself, capable by itself to give me or lead me to the highest realization. Now, before we proceed, we should have a little understanding of what is this highest realization or what is the highest purpose of yoga. Common mainstream understanding, as the theme indicates for this year, wellness, physical and mental wellness. You don't have to be physically sick, you don't have to go into depression and be sad, lose your control over your mind because of anger, jealousy, some things like that. Be peaceful, be healthy, so that you lead a good life. That is the common understanding. That is the purpose of yoga. Now, yoga in our tradition has a higher purpose. What is this purpose? What do we mean? Purpose of human life. What is the purpose of human life? It comes to that fundamental question. What is the goal? What is the purpose of life? Everything has a purpose. So, what is the purpose of this life? I am born. So, what is the highest purpose I should accomplish? Suppose I go to a temple. What is the purpose of going to the temple? To have the darshan of the Lord, the preceding deity, Murti. I may go to the prasada counter, I may go around here, there, and I may come back without even seeing the Murti, the God inside. So the moment I go and I step into a temple, I know the purpose is to have darshan of the Lord. Similarly, I am now born. What is the highest purpose? I may do this, I may study this, I may get married, I may get a job, I may buy a house, I may buy a car, I may do some work. There are so many purposes why I am doing this, why am I studying this, why am I going there. There is a purpose for each of it. But what is the purpose of the life itself? I am alive now. And if I am alive, is it just to eat and sleep and procreate? That is what an animal does. There are people who think like that. They say that is all the purpose of life. There is nothing more. It is all your creation and imagination. But all the wise men whom we revere in all societies, civilizations, they tell us no, this is not the goal or end of human life eating, sleeping, and procreating. There is a higher purpose. So, what is this? There's some define it. It is like going to heaven. After you leave this world, you have to go to a place where you will always be happy, full of bliss and all the so called pleasures. And for that, you have to be good now in this life. That is the understanding of some people. In India, our understanding has always been this going and coming itself is a useless process, lot of pain and sorrow involved in it. It is a cycle, continuous cycle of coming and going, repeated birth, repeated death, either in this realm, in this world, or in some other dimension. Coming out of this cycle is the purpose of life. And we are in this chain of continuous birth and death because of ignorance. Agnana, it is called. Ignorance of what? Of our true nature. Because I think I am so and so, a body, a mind with all its impressions, and an ego which claims ownership of all this, because of these, it is called kleshas in yoga, impurities. Because of them, I am in this cycle of repeated birth and death. I have to stop this because this repeated cycle is filled with sorrow. Though what appears to be pleasure in the beginning soon manifests, soon reveals itself as sorrow. It begins as irritation, and that is the process. We know it finally ends in disgust. So, this freedom from this chain of repeated birth and death is the goal, and that is called moksha also. Freedom is called moksha. What happens? It is not going anywhere. Moksha is not going to some place. Moksha is breaking this chain by coming out of this false identification with my ego, mind, and body. My identification, that which has manifested as this identification, that is to be dissolved. So, yoga, according to these Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it will mean a separation. There in Yoga Sutra, the system is little different from Vedanta. They see this universe as a creation of two combination of two things, Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is pure awareness, consciousness. Again, that's little tricky there. Let's go with what we can understand. Awareness or consciousness uniting with matter, Prakriti. So that separation is the goal of yoga. Now, that separation or that realization of my true nature, that is what yoga is for. One of the best definitions for this goal of human life, which Sri Ramakrishna often says, God realization. In very simplest term, he puts God realization is the goal of human life. And where is this God? Not sitting somewhere in heaven on a throne. He is inside me. I am that. It is part of me. Now I understand it and I realize finally I am that consciousness. That realization is the goal of human life. Swami Vivekananda gives a wonderful definition. What is the goal of life? Supreme goal. And what is the way? The goal is understood. What is the way? I quote him: each soul is potentially divine. We have discussed this earlier. The divinity, inner divinity, that is my true nature as consciousness. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. It is inside me. My true nature is divinity, consciousness. Divinity is consciousness. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. The four yogas: work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. By one or more or all of these, a combination of all, by just two of them or just by one of them, and be free. That freedom, moksha, freedom from the cycle of repeated birth and death, which is created because of this identification created by the ego, mind, and body, created by them and rooted in them. Be free from them. This is the whole of religion. Religion means this: doctrines or dogmas. Something is written in my scripture. That is a doctrine. This is how we should do. It has come down to us. Dogmas, or rituals, or books, or temples, or forms are but secondary details. These are all secondary details. The main thing is you have to discover who you are. That is the goal. Yoga, as I said in the general understanding, Yogasana, it is part of the 8 angas of yoga that Patanjali discusses. We have this tradition in our land where we know Vedas have Vedangas. There are 6 angas or parts of Vedas. Now these Vedangas, they help us to fructify or realize the objective of a Vedic ritual. These 6 Vedangas are phonetics, meter, grammar, etymology, astronomy, and ritual. Now, what is it? The success of a Vedic sacrifice depends upon the knowledge of these Vedangas. Similarly, the goal of yoga is union with God or separation from this ignorance, either way, whatever way you want to call it. That goal, success in that perseverance or in that pursuit, depends upon mastery of the Vedangas. And what are these Vedangas? There are 8 Vedangas, 8 aspects to it. Now, just as any one aspect of Vedic ritual is not complete in itself, one aspect of this Vedanga is not complete in itself. That is one school of understanding. Now, these 8 angas, what are they? 8 aspects of yoga, which Patanjali has very beautifully described in his Yoga Sutras: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the 8 aspects of yoga. As you can understand, the third one is asana. And that aspect of yoga is what is being celebrated tomorrow. Yoga asana. Asana. They don't call it simply asana because it is part of the yoga system. It is called yoga asana. Not simply asana, it is yoga asana. It is 1/3 aspect of yoga. Naturally, that name goes with that, yoga asanas. Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Sthira Sukham Asanam. That is a posture which is comfortable and steady. That is the definition of asana. It should be comfortable and it should be steady. There are so many asanas, that is, different postures of the body. There are texts for it, like 14th century, there is one text, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which gives 84 asanas, which is believed to be have been taught by Lord Shiva himself. There is another text, Gheranda Samhita and then Shiva Samhita, both credited to 17th century. Now, these texts, they talk about different postures in which the body is twisted and turned. What happens in that process? The body has, the yogis say, 72,000 nerves systems. Now, each one of them, they have an impact on a part of the body and through that on the mind itself. Now, by practicing and staying comfortably and steadily in a given posture, physical posture, the body's constitution itself is revived, improved, and unimaginable things are manifested in the mind. They are called siddhis. So, by practicing these asanas, the body's longevity is increased, it is kept free from disease, its immunity power increases, and the best, and the most important benefit is one forgets that a body is there to disturb me. Many people, they find the body is a big hindrance. They take it as part of life. Every day I have to eat a BP tablet. Every day I have to take a sugar tablet. Every day I have to take two injections. Oh, I have a heart problem, I have to take this. I have kidney problem, I have to take these medicines without fail. My B12 is less, my that vitamin is less, I have to take this. More unfortunate people, I have cancer, I have this, I have that, I have to take these treatments, operation. The body demands and sucks our time and energy. When that happens, the higher goal of life is forgotten because all my time and energy is spent in self preservation. I want to be alive. Yogasana gives me the benefit, highest benefit. I can forget the body. It will be so healthy. I will forget that it could give me and it can give me trouble. Some people are now, and I have a spectacle. My eyes has given me problem because I have misused it. So without an external aid, this eye cannot read. There is a limitation created on this eye. Similarly, so many aspects of the body, limitations will be seen because of misuse of the body. And sometimes the genetic factor also is there. I have this proclivity, I have this problem as a genetic given to me by my ancestors. Yogasana can help me to overcome them, most of them. And that is the benefit, which is an aid for the higher goal. What is that higher goal? Patanjali himself says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What is it? It is to prevent the disturbance, the modifications of the mind. And when that happens, there is a stillness of this mind. There, the inner light is manifested. It can be put like this also. When I practice this yoga asanas along with the other seven angas of yoga, what will happen? The impurities in the mind are decreased. What are these impurities? The five impurities that are spoken is avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Avidya is mula avidya, it is called. The basic ignorance which somehow made me think I am this ego, I am this mind, I am this body, senses. That is an impurity. It is an obstacle. Second is this asmita, the I consciousness, which functions as I so and so. Whether I am awake or I am sleeping, there is always this I. That I is an impurity, is an obstacle. Then raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion, abhinivesha, clinging to life. Now, these are all obstacles, these are the impurities. As we progress in the practice of yoga, these impurities will be controlled and reduced, they dwindle. And as it is controlled and as it decreases, their intensity decreases. Simultaneously, what is happening? The luminosity and the clarity of the buddhi, that starts manifesting. This is in the yogic terminology. In Vedanta, we call it rajas and tamas. They decrease and sattva dominates, increases. Sattva is light, clarity. That is the Vedantic terminology for understanding this. In yoga, Patanjali yoga tradition, they simply say these impurities will reduce, then the Buddhi's inner light will start shining. And what happens when it starts shining? It is a discriminative discernment. That is the Vichara Shakti. That becomes very sharp, and I am able to separate the Purusha from the Prakriti. That is the goal according to Patanjali. The goal of life is to separate Purusha from Prakriti, and that, Patanjali says, is the highest you can realize. Vedanta says you realize yourself as pure consciousness. Yes, Prakriti is this body, this mind, and this ego. You see that it is not you, you separate yourself from that. And that separation means here union with your true nature, and there is nothing left, it becomes one. It is like the salt doll going into the ocean to measure the depth and becoming one with the ocean. That oneness. There is a salt doll, there is a ocean, but that salt doll, as it goes deeper into its own true nature, it came from the ocean. As it goes back into the ocean, it becomes one. It loses that individuality. That is the goal of Vedanta. Asanas, pranayama, and other things are aspects which help me to achieve this goal. Now, this is the Vedantic understanding, and this is the Patanjali tradition's understanding of Yogasana. But now there is a tradition from this Hatha Yoga Pradipika onwards. We have very great stalwarts, Krishnamacharya, a yoga teacher, then B.K. Iyengar, Patabi Joish, Deshikachar. These are all great luminaries of yogasanas in our country. And most of the schools which are now in India, they trace their traditions to these great masters. Now, the tradition which is coming up as Yogasana itself, it claims by entering into a posture and being comfortable and steady in it, the mind is stilled. The mind becomes still. If you now get up and try to do a simple yogasana, you will lose your balance. Try any asana, not simply sitting on the floor, not lying down, nidrasana, sukhasana. Try something which requires you to balance, not necessarily one leg, even two legs, trikonasana. You will find it will not be possible for you to balance if your mind is restless. Impossible. If the mind is restless, the body cannot be balanced. And the breath also has to be measured. You will see some people walking on the rope, perfect stillness in the head, and breathing also controlled. If you want to see, you go and see these those who shoot the archery, or those who in the pistol firing, perfect stillness of the body, and breath also is still. That the mind is still, the breath is still, that is perfect concentration. Chitta vritti nirodha. That perfect concentration is the goal of yoga. So these Hatha Yoga practitioners, they say through Hatha Yoga itself we can achieve that. It is possible. This is accepted by Vedanta also. What does Vedanta say? Even these Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it says anything can be an object of meditation. Anything. It is not necessarily God, a form of God. Anything can become an object of meditation. How is that? When you perfectly concentrate your mind on an object, the mind is stilled. And in that stillness, the inner light is perceived. Yes, it is perceived, but you cannot stay in that state for long. The moment you slip from that state, your old samskaras will rush back and you will be again tossed around by your desires, your aversion, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all this, and also that I asmita. They will take over and you will be rock and roll, you will be playing your life. That requires purification. Yama, niyama. Yama and niyama, the first two, eight aspects of yoga, according to Patanjali, the first two are yama and niyama. But those who practice yogasana, they say yes, that is also required. But yogasana itself can help. But traditionally, it is not accepted. Just physical exercise cannot purify the mind. Their claim is you, without stilling the mind, and without stilling the mind and the breath, yogasana cannot be practiced, so we are achieving it. It won't work like that. At least from Vedantic point of view, it is not possible without yama niyamas. What is this yama niyama? Yama is the practice of ahimsa, non-violence. Yama means restraints. I have to restrain self-control. I have to practice self-control. What kind of self-control? Ahimsa, non-violence. Not just physically, even in thought, I will not hurt anyone. Ahimsa. Satya. That is, I will not speak an untruth. I will not lie. I will not cheat anyone. It is a restraint. Asteya. Yes, I will not take something which belongs to others. I will not desire anything which belongs to others. I will not steal. I will not take it. Brahmacharya, continence, perfect control over the sense organs, including the mind. And control over the mind means over its imagination. That is brahmacharya. Then aparigraha, non-receiving, not taking things from anyone without earning it myself. These are restraints, self-restraints. That is called yama. Second aspect of these 8 limbs, ashtanga. First one is yama. Second one is niyama. Niyama is what you should do, observances. What you should not do and what you should do. There it is restraint. Here you have to do this. What should I do? Shaucha, santosha, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana. Shaucha, cleanliness, physical and mental cleanliness. Santosha, contentment. That is not having greed, being content with what I have. Then tapas, austerity, physical and mental austerity. Swadhyaya, that is engaging myself in studies. Study not just of scriptures, of my own self. Ishvara pranidhana, surrender to God. Now these two come before asana. Yama, niyama, asana. And then pranayama. People come, they say, can you teach us pranayama? Directly they want to jump to pranayama. One of our Swamis, Swami Sarvapriyananji, he keeps telling this. He speaks about a yogi in the Himalayas, where he says some person, businessman or rich man, approached him and told, "Humko yog sikha dijiye, samadhi." Directly he wants to go to samadhi. Last, the eighth anga of yoga, samadhi. He says, "Samadhi sikha dijiye." So he said, "Okay, let us start with yama niyama." And he starts talking ahimsa, you should not hurt others. Satya, you should always speak the truth. Asteya, you should not desire other people's property, other man's wife, all these things you should not do. This fellow got irritated. वो सब छोड़ दीजिए ना, डायरेक्ट समाधि सिखाइए मुझको. Then it seems that yogi told, have you come to learn ashtanga or vikalanga? That is, you don't want to study the whole thing. Directly you want that. It is like someone joining IIT and telling for a BTech course and telling, please give me the PhD degree first. Then I'll think about your BTech and MTech and all. Is it possible? A 6th standard boy says, give me a PhD certificate. You have to study. There is a process for it. And if you leave out one, then you will not reach the final goal. So, yama, niyama, the restraints, what I should control, and niyama, what I should do. These two precede asana, that is yogasana. Then comes pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That we'll not discuss now. Just the third aspect, yogasana, which will be celebrated tomorrow, it has to be kept in mind. These two have to be first practiced or simultaneously. It's not that I finish this course and then go there. It is simultaneous, continuously it goes. Yama and niyama and asana. When these are practiced together, that person's life at least will be conducive for the higher purpose of life. Even if he is not interested in the higher purpose of life, the goal of life, which Swamiji says is self-discovery, the divinity, manifesting the divinity within, as Sri Ramakrishna says, God realization. Even if one is not interested in that, the body and the mind will be under control. But not just by physical exercise, mind you. It has to be accompanied with this yama and niyama. don'ts, what you should not do, and then what you should do. With these practices, when you practice these asanas, physical postures, then your body will not disturb you. Whatever it is you want to achieve, you want to do well in your life, in business, you want to study well, you want to be a research scholar, you want to be a good human being, healthy human being, person without trouble, without going to hospitals regularly. Your immunity system should be good, that you are not put down by corona. Practice this. But always remember, yogasana, asanas with yama and niyama. Without that, only asanas, it has its benefit. The practitioners claim this is itself enough, but they also agree without yama niyama, only exercises is not going to manifest the higher dimension of your personality. This is the purpose of yogasana. Wellness which comes not just through asanas, but with self-control. Self-control comes by practicing these yamas and niyamas. We should never forget this. But for beginning, let us begin with this conception, this idea that I will learn these asanas, 84 asanas. Even if we can practice Surya Namaskara itself every day, that will be a great benefit to us. Surya Namaskara and some basic asanas, fundamental stretching postures. Initially, it will be a lot of pain. The body will tremble because it is not used for the stretching. And when we are balancing, the body will shake because it is not sthira. And certainly it is not sukham, it is painful. But slowly, with practice, there comes steadiness in the posture. And then the mind becomes steady. The body becomes comfortable. It is no longer stretching or paining me. Some 3-4 months, 6 months, it depends on how young the body is. Then the body is comfortable in whichever posture I take. Then we concentrate on breath. Yoga, asanas. Next is pranayama. Pranayama is a higher science, which is a science of controlling the breath. And why that? Again, the goal is to discover the mind is stilled and you discover the inner light. Even in asanas, breathing is very, very important. So you should never learn yogasanas by seeing a YouTube program, unless it is done by a professional course. Someone like Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram or Bihar School of Yoga, if they are doing, they will insist on this breath and the posture. You should know at what posture, at what bending, what stretching, how you should breathe, whether it should be inside or it should be outside. With that combination, the mind is stilled, it is calmed, the body, because of the twisting, the inner nervous system, all the chakras and other parts of the body, they are given a healthy stretch, it becomes healthy. Certainly this will be helpful, and concentration increases by practicing these asanas. Because without concentration, concentration means the mind is focused, it is stilled on one point, one thought. That stillness can be transferred to other things also. That is the benefit of yogasanas. By practicing yogasana, we can become so relaxed and we can become so steady in it that we can transfer that steadiness into other areas of our life. That's a big benefit of yogasanas. Practice, please, these yogasanas, you please learn at least some basic yogasanas like Surya Namaskar and other things. It will take you, you're all young. If you practice next 3 months, you will be, usually 3 months is good enough under a good teacher to master some of the basic asanas. You will immediately see that concentration, that steadiness will fill your pour over into other areas of your life. You will not be so disturbed by someone passing a comment or losing a job or an interview, failing in an interview. You may be disturbed, but you bounce back quickly because one kind of self-control has developed. And that steadiness which has come in the practice of the asanas is now manifesting as steadiness in facing the challenges of the life. That is a certainty. So that's what we mean by wellness. That's good. It is a benefit, even if I don't have the higher vision of the goal of human life. Let me be at least healthy and have a mind which is under my control. If I don't take control of the mind will take control of me. One of these two happens. Who is this me that mind controls? It is again the mind itself. To explain it in a simpler way, the lower mind and the higher mind. If the higher mind does not control the lower mind will control the higher mind. One of these two happens. Either the higher mind controls the lower mind, or the lower mind controls the higher mind. Lower mind takes me out towards this body, senses, and the engagement with the world in a selfish way. Higher mind manifests the sattva, the, the higher discriminative discernment of truth, the world, the reality, and it will engage with this world. It will not withdraw into some cave and all. It will engage with the world with a higher refined mind, where selfishness is very less and there is more of compassion, love, which manifests as contribution. That will bring a sense of fulfillment and happiness to me and to those with whom I am associated. That is possible. This is the goal. We can try, let us have this as a beginning goal for us. I'll steady the mind, I will keep the body healthy. That steadiness will help me with this yama niyama, mind you. Never talk about yogasanas without yama niyamas. If you do, it is simply stretching of body. You may be healthy. You will use it to enjoy your body again. That steadiness will come. He will use it to be a more cutthroat businessman. He'll be a crooked fellow. Don't think all these gundas and all these corrupt people, they're all very unhealthy. They also practice yogasanas. It is possible to be a very good asana teacher and asana practitioner and be crooked also. And lose self-control and do something very immoral also. So it is not necessary that if you are a master of asanas, you are also very moral. That doesn't automatically come. It will be if these yama niyamas are part of that, and it is actually a part of it. Ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana. Then pranayama. Pranayama is a double-edged sword. It is not very necessary that you have to go in the stepwise like this. Vedanta is one stream. Swami Vivekananda, what he propagates is Vedanta. It says use this, but don't go too much into it, because then you'll be body specified. And pranayama and these yogasanas, they have tremendous benefit. But if you leave them, they can do tremendous harm also. When you use it, when you practice it for a higher purpose and in a correct method, it is a great boon. The purpose and the process, if it is high and correct, higher purpose and correct process, tremendous boon, asanas and pranayama. But if the purpose is not correct, not good, and the process or method is not correct, it will kill you. It will harm you, tremendously harm. There are so many people who suffer because of wrong practice of pranayama and wrong practice of concentrations. The next step. To avoid all that, the tradition of Swami Vivekananda, it simply jumps over these practices. Vedanta doesn't go too much into this because it is a double-edged sword. So they say the final benefit is accrued without going into these dangers. And that Swamiji gives us the 4 yoga paths, and he says combine all of them, and the most important thing is love. There is no danger in love. You develop that is the path of bhakti. Sri Ramakrishna also advocates. But each of us, we are unique. We have our own propensities, our likes, and a bent of mind. And that requires our own taste, requires a new method, which this Sanatana Dharma gives us. One such method is this Ashtanga Yoga method, in which Yogasana is one aspect, Anga. Let us just have this sankalpa to learn these asanas. Learn these asanas, a little bit of pranayama, not much. Just watching the breath itself is enough. This will help in controlling the mind, improve concentration. And this control of mind will naturally help in other dimensions of our life, social life, personal life, everywhere. It helps, this control which comes over mind by practicing the asanas with yama and niyama. Tomorrow is that day. You can, if you have not started learning, tomorrow you can maybe explore, looking for a teacher, learn from someone who has practiced for some years, and definitely you will see the benefit in 6 months.
Uh, so first question is, I'm practicing Yogasana and meditation since past 4 months. How long does it take to release body mind improvement?
I didn't get that. Come again. I'm practicing for 4 years. Okay,
I'm
so
prac
I opened it. Since past 4 months. 4 months. How long does
for
it take to realize body mind improvement? Some more months. And if you're young, you will see within 3 4 months. And it depends on how many days you're practicing, how long you're practicing. I know by my own personal experience. When I was doing my graduation, I used to practice these yoganasanas every day for nearly 2 hours. Every single day. Sunday was pranayama. Monday to Saturday, morning 5:15 to 7, I used to practice yogasana every day for 3 years. And that benefit I knew. Little later, I realized the benefit. I never had to go to a doctor all those 3 years, never had to take any tablet. Of course, I was young. Youth does not usually go with sickness, but it has a benefit. So, how many days in a week and what is the duration of the time you have kept for it? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour? That depends that. And whether you're learned from a correct teacher and you're practicing. All this together will decide how soon the results will come. But results will certainly come. What are the asanas that will prepare our body for meditation? See, what you mean by asanas preparing the body for meditation is the body should not disturb the mind. That's all I have to take care. For that, we are told to sit in some posture, which after usually it takes 2 years for asana siddhi, it is called. Asana siddhi. You have to sit for meditation, you have to sit in a steady posture. And that steadiness in the posture, usually it takes 1 to 2 years. You may sit for 15 minutes, half an hour within, say, if you are young, in 10 days, you will sit 15 minutes. Body will not create any trouble. If you want to sit for 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours at a stretch, then your leg will go to sleep, your back will ache, so many things. It depends also on your physical flexibility and things like that. But any asana, you don't have to practice all the 84 asanas to begin meditation. Practice basic Surya Namaskar and some stretching exercises. And Sukhasana is fairly good enough. You don't have to sit in Padmasana itself. There are some asanas like that, so many names for them. How you put your legs, how you tuck in your legs, uh, Virasana, and then Sukhasana, Padmasana, and there is another very specific, difficult postures which are told to sit and make the body steady. The main purpose is the body should become steady. Sit in something where your back, neck, and head is kept in a straight line. That is one important thing. Not fully stretched like this, comfortably straight. Body should be straight, held straight. Back, neck, head in a straight line, and keep the body still. Practice this posture. You will be ready for going deeper into the mind, which is what is known as meditation. The focus, the concentration on the object of your meditation, it will become steady. So for that, basic Surya Namaskar and some stretching exercises are sufficient for that. Uh, Give me one technique to improve focus. This is like 2 minute Maggi noodles. Give me one technique to improve focus. This is what our modern mind has become. Give me one answer which will satisfy everything. Yama Niyama. You want a Vikalanga practice. That's exactly the example for that. One thing which will help me to achieve focus. You have to practice all these Yama Niyamas. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwari Pranidhana. Without practicing any of this, you say one thing which will help me to improve focus. And if you improve focus forcibly, it can be dangerous if the mind is not pure. You know that? If the mind is not pure and you improve your concentration, it is very dangerous because it will go and get stuck up in some stupid thing. one kind of wrong idea or desire, very difficult to withdraw the mind from that. That's why usually we don't teach pranayama at all. We don't teach pranayama at all. And someone comes to say, I want to improve concentration. We say, first go into this method of purifying your desires. Then talk about concentration. What is it that is disturbing you? Your desires are disturbing you, right? It is desires, vasanas, which disturb you, distract you from your goal, whatever it is that you are pursuing. So you have to first negate the force of that distracting desire, physical desire, whatever kind of desire it is. You have to distance yourself from that. You have to withdraw from enjoying those things and put more attention, more thinking, thought, and feeling into what you want to focus on. The more you think about something, more you invest feelings into something, you will naturally get more concentration in that subject, in that object, towards that feeling, or whatever that object is, purpose is. Do that. That is the way to attain focus. There is no one technique for it. Yeah. Swami Vivekananda's tradition is vegetarianism not part of yama, ahimsa. Also, is brahmacharya really possible for people living outside monasteries? It seems impossibility. Vegetarianism is a tricky question, you see. Uh, it is not part of what is called yoga here. Ahimsa. If you, some people, someone told, oh, in a yogi's presence, uh, the lion and the lamb live together, snakes and rats live in peace and harmony. Then I asked, what will the lion eat then? And what will the snake eat then? Will they both die? Will the lion eat grass? Will the snake drink and eat grass? It has to live, it has to eat the grass. And you worship the snake. And lion is the king of the jungle. It has to eat. Are you going to say lion is a cruel fellow because he kills the so cute looking, innocent looking deer and lamb? Horrible fellow lion. Who created lion? The hand, there is a poem in English, the hand that created the lamb, did it create you, the tiger? Yeah, the same creation. Whatever that power is, it created the lamb, it created the deer, and it created the tiger and the lion. It is our understanding that, oh, vegetarianism is the only way to go. What do you mean by ahimsa? It is a different topic in itself. It is not just someone eating a fish or a meat. Ah, he is a cruel pashu, he will never go to heaven. It is not like that. If you can, Sri Ramakrishna talks about this. He says, don't make this the central point of religion. That is a mistake people are doing nowadays. Religion means vegetarianism. That is not the central point of religion. You may eat havishyana, and if your mind is still in kama and kanchana, that is lust and greed, what is the use of your vegetarianism? Do you mean to say all these people who are vegetarians, they are very sattvic? Their mind is very uplifted and pure and they think nothing about but God? A sparrow, a monkey, and a lion. Take these three examples. See what is their lust. The monkey, the sparrow, and the lion. You will understand what I am saying. This lion eats only non-veg, and these two fellows eat only vegetarian. You see their lust. It is not connected like that. Don't make this the central issue of religion. What I eat is not really that important than what I think and what I feel. They say, no, food is connected with the mind. Yes, in one extent. We also know that. But if you are of a higher dimension, if your pull, if your love for God is so strong, what is that love for God? What is your devotion for God which chokes on a piece of meat? I don't think your Rama and Krishna were vegetarians. And Buddha's last meal was pork. Buddha ate a pork, which finally that fellow fed, and Buddha said, no, don't go because my disciples will be angry with you. It was the reason for this body falling. He ate that meat. Buddha. Don't make this a central issue of religion. Purify the mind does not mean eating only vegetarian. Think deeply about it. Now, brahmacharya really possible for leaving people outside. What you understand by brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is controlling the senses, and especially the controlling the desire for enjoying the body. It may be not just sex, it is you are eating food also, enjoying things through the five indriyas. That enjoyment I restrain, I control. So even in a married life, our tradition, our religion, Sanatana Dharma very clearly says, even in a married life, you have to follow some self-restraint. These and these are these periods when you will not have such enjoyments. And even when you have enjoyments, there will be a restraint in it. There should be a higher purpose behind that enjoyment. Why do a man and woman mate? There is a higher purpose. And what is that higher purpose? It is for procreating another, giving birth to another soul, another body, not just for physical enjoyment. They always keep this in mind. How do we make sure I do this? Yes, you will enjoy the pleasures only in marriage. Why only in marriage? It is dharma. She is dharma patni and she takes the vow, the vrata. She is a pativrata and he takes the vow, eka patni vrata. I'll be like Rama, only one woman in my life. I will not even imagine a relationship with anyone else. He is also a brahmachari. Krishna, he says, I'm a brahmachari. How is he a brahmachari? 8 wives he had. Yes, I have no desire for any other woman. Rama, only one, Sita. Rajasuya Yaga he has to do. He has sent away Sita to the forest. They say, without a queen, it cannot be performed. Then he says, have a golden murti of Sita made and place it next to me. There will be no other woman in my life. Nobody, not even in thought. He touches another woman, he has touched another woman. That's why he is Maryada Purushottama. That is a brahmacharya. You enjoy with restraint, self restraint, and that enjoyment is for a higher purpose. So don't limit brahmacharya only for monastery. Brahmacharya has to be practiced even in householder's life. Okay. I don't feel that I achieved something by meditation. Meditation technique is important. It is not technique itself. Yeah, technique is having some impact on that, certainly. But it is not just the technique itself, it is your efforts and the purpose. What do you mean by meditation? What is the purpose of your meditation? Be careful, there are many people now coming out with, I have discovered a new technique, and the technique I will be teaching you. First level will be this many 5,000, 10,000. Second level 25, third level 50,000. Then you start teaching and you start earning also. It's more like a business, especially across India, it has become like a business. I heard of a system in Bengal. You give diksha to someone and then he pays a guru dakshina to you. A part of it goes to your guru and a part of it goes to the headquarters. So the more disciples you have, more income you get. It looks like perfect business model. And once you start putting it, you will make sure that your whoever are your disciples, they will make sure they will have more people taking the mantra, giving every year annual payment. It's become a business. Don't get trapped in those things. Spiritual knowledge is not for sale. Someone who sells it is simply doing business. Whatever the technique is, it is not worth. You mean to say God can be purchased? And who is that who says, I have a technique and this is the cost to learn the technique? It has never been so in our land. Spiritual knowledge cannot be sold. So you will have to be careful what technique you are using. It has some impact, influence, it matters, but also what is the purpose and how long you're practicing, how correctly you're practicing. Certainly not from YouTube. You'll have to learn it from a teacher. Please tell us something about Kundalini Yoga. How is it beneficial for us? What are the precautions and eligibility for this to practice? Exactly what you should not do. You should not learn this on YouTube, not learn it through a class. If you are interested in that, go to someone who practices it. We don't practice it because it is dangerous. It is very dangerous. There are people who awaken this Kundalini Shakti, and the poor disciple, whoever he suffers for it later. If the mind is not purified of its vasanas for kama and other things, and Kundalini is awakened, it only intensifies his vasanas. What is Kundalini? Kundalini is the psychic energy. If you awaken that energy, Then, if your mind has some strong tendencies, that will become more strong. If your mind is not pure, if it is having intense hatred for someone or intense desire for something or someone, that will become out of control. So you will only suffer. So it is not necessary that you have to practice a kundalini, awaken the Shakti. It leads to all kinds of abnormalities when this kundalini is awakened. It will awaken by itself when you have intense devotion for God. That is the safest method, safest path of sadhana. Intense love for God. And yama niyamas. Why do you need any kundalini business to practice ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, parigraha, cleanliness and contentment, austerity, study, self study, and love for God? For this, where does this kundalini business come? Go with something which is safe. That is also a tradition. If you are very keen to learn that, you will have to go to someone who is practicing it. We at least don't practice it in our Ramakrishna tradition, so I don't know much about it. How to get benefited from Sunday lectures? Every week you seem to be introducing new technique, new topic. I am not getting rooted in anything, just like a rolling stone gathering no moss. You see, we share some thoughts. This is not, I get your point. It is not a structured course. If you are looking for a structured course like that, I would recommend Swami Sarvapriyananji, one of our senior Swamis. He is in America now, our center there. Please Google up Swami Sarvapriyananda. You will find very structured course there. There are other Vedantic teachers also who give structured courses like that. We take some topics which can be, because it is fundamentally, basically for our IIT Madras students, we take things which will be practical for us in our everyday life. And some of these ideas, if you can practice them, you will see the difference in your life. It is not the amount of information and knowledge that you gather, it is how much you put into practice that makes the difference. Really, just practice something. Practice. Today we learned practicing Yogasana helps in steadying the mind. And that steadiness will spill over, that self control will spill over into other areas of life. So let us practice Yogasana. The purpose is that, the higher purpose. I will realize the truth of what I am, the truth of what this universe is, how I am connected with it, and what am I. That is the highest purpose of yoga. Asanas also is part of that. Pick up that idea and practice it. Every class, we have something like that to practice and to improve our own understanding, clarity in our understanding. Okay. How Surya Namaskar help in self control? Please practice, you will understand. How will I tell you? The whole last 45 minutes I am telling that. Asana, a posture, any asana is a particular posture. It requires concentration. It requires automatically control of breath. When these two happen, the mind becomes steady. Surya Namaskara is also that. But mind you, these asanas should be done traditional way. Slow, steady. There is a new fad. I saw one yoga teacher. He called it dynamic yoga. He did this Surya Namaskara so fast and he calls it dynamic. These are all modern interpretations, and they try to bring some kung fu karate into it and all nonsense. And dance also, yoga dance. It is, you market the same ice cream in putting it this way, give a new name, put it that way, give a new name, just to attract people and make money. Yogasanas, it has to be done steadily and with perfect concentration and stillness. The very purpose of yoga, the asana, is to still the mind. And you fellow go on dancing and say and quickly run from one asana to another as though it is a competition, and you say that is asanas. That is useless exercise. Yoga, that asana, that exercises, postures become yoga when it is done with steadiness, with stillness, and the breath has to be controlled. It becomes almost imperceptible. That is the purpose of asanas, practicing. Then only it becomes yoga. Simply doing asanas in a fashion with a music running, that is not asana. So you please practice the Surya Namaskar, you will see the benefit. I want to change my desires of my life, but can't. I know what is wrong, what is right, but mind is continuously going wrong direction. How can I control my mind? Yeah, That is not just your problem, it is a problem of everyone. They know what is correct, but they don't know how to go and do that. I know what is correct, I know what is wrong. I cannot give up this wrong. Duryodhana tells that. Don't teach me dharma. I know what is dharma, I know what is adharma, but I cannot give up this adharma. What to do? We have discussed this in our classes many times. First is you have to be in the company of those who are doing what you want to do, correct thing. You know what is correct. Look for the company of people who are doing or practicing or living that correct things, ideals, correct way of life. You don't want to smoke, you know smoking is injurious. Drop all those friends who smoke. Forget them. Go in the company of people who totally never have smoked. Get into their company. Whatever it is that you want to practice, you want to practice yogasana. Don't be in the company of a fellow who wakes up 8 o'clock in the morning. Go make friendship with someone who gets up at 5 and starts practicing yogasana. That sangha, you need to get into that company. Sat sangha, it is called. What is sat? Good company. Whatever you have understood is good and correct. Be in the company of people who are living those values, who are living in that, having that kind of lifestyle or behavior. Be with them. Slowly, that will influence you. Second, if you have some thoughts which you know are not good for you and you don't know how to give them up, Patanjali gives one technique. He calls it Viparita Bhavana. That is, you think the opposite, the contrary thought. Deliberately raise a contrary thought to that negative or wrong or bad, whatever thought you have understood it to be bad or negative. You don't want it, but it is coming. Where is it coming from? It is not some devil putting a thought into you. Don't go into that way. Chitta is like the storehouse where all the impressions of my previous thoughts and actions are stored. These impressions are called samskaras. It is in the form of an image, it is in the form of a sound, it is in the form of even a smell, a taste. If you are used to eating non-veg and now you're giving up, and one day you go next to a hotel or somewhere and you immediately have that smell of that non-veg coming, immediately your samskaras of having eaten that are awakened, and with that comes the memory of the taste, the joy of eating that, and with that will come the desire to have it again. So you have to stay away from them, and if such a thought comes in the mind, raise the opposite thought, viparita bhavana. This requires effort because that whatever is disturbing you, it is coming from inside only, and you know you it is not good for you, and it is coming because you have romanced it so many times for so many years, invested so much energy into that samskara. Now it has become strong, and your will has become weak. That's what it is. It means to say your imagination and your samskaras have become stronger than your willpower. You have to strengthen the willpower. Yogasana can help that. These practicing asanas will certainly help in controlling the steadying the mind, and that control will help you, as I said, in controlling these negative samskaras which you want to give up. It will certainly help. Please practice this and practice Viparita Bhavana. Be in satsanga, the company of good people, read good literature. These are all aids for that. I understand purity of mind is important. Can you please discuss about purity of heart? Both are same. Purity of heart and mind. Where is mind? Mind is in the heart. Mind is in the heart only. It is reflected here in the brain, but it is in the heart. The samskaras are not in the brain. It is in the heart only. So it is not do different things. There will again be, because this is such a great nation, you will find some tradition which will have a whole theory about the heart being different from the mind. But in general, we don't see it like that. You have to purify your mind, which is also known as purifying the heart. Don't go into too much technicalities. What we have discussed, understand that, practice it. Be unselfish. Try to be good, noble. Try to do the good thing. When you know what is good, try to do it. Small, small good acts will build up the willpower to do something bigger. Okay. Is it safe to attend online yoga classes? If it is done by a reputed someone who knows it, not an individual. Anyone can now claim I have a certificate from someone. There are, like here in Chennai, Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram is there. Bihar School of Yoga is there. There are traditional schools of yoga. From them you can learn. And it is necessary at least to have some contact with the teacher personally. In meditation, withdrawing of mind, how to feel that I am the witness in meditation? What is it like to feel that I am the witness? Soham, you will have to. This is a topic which will take a lot of time for me to discuss now. You please watch some of our Sarvapriyananji Maharaj talks. Drik Drishya Viveka. He has talks on that. You please watch that. I am the witness. Very nicely, Maharaj has explained. Listen to that. I can't see you on screen. Maybe some issue there. If you can hear me, that's enough. Could you please suggest a book or institute to follow right form of yogasana and meditation? How to make the mind pure and separate desires from good work? I told you in Chennai, if you are here, approach Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram and then Bihar School of Yoga. I know these two. In Mysore, there is one Patabi Joish. He teaches. But you see, don't go for someone who is charging you 5,000, 10,000. A true yoga teacher does not do that. Exorbitantly charging you for teaching things which is a sacred uh, vidya. You will know when someone offers it. 10,000 rupees. Why do you need 10,000 rupees to teach yogasanas? You will have to see that aspect also. Okay. How to make the mind pure and separate desires from good work? We have discussed this, Vinod. We have discussed this. Go on putting new good thoughts in the mind. The more you put new thoughts, new impressions into the mind, the old impressions, that is, the negative impressions, will become weak and this will dominate your mind. Maharaj, it is difficult to find who actually practice spirituality consistently. What? What to do in such cases? Aha. It is whom should I follow? It is safe to follow someone who has established, like Swami Vivekananda. Nowadays, we have many modern gurus. Uh, because people think a yogi should have miraculous powers. One who was in our order, Ramakrishna order, as a brahmachari, he went out, he did so many scandals, defamed this sannyasa sampradaya in Chennai itself, and now he's run away from India itself. So many siddhis, miraculous powers. People go because they need money. And okay, someone will cure me of this disease. Okay, he's a yogi. That is not yoga. So if someone is offering to cure you of your disease, or someone says your business will improve, that is not spirituality. Yeah, he may do that certainly, but that is nothing to do with spirituality. You use your common sense. Use your common sense. And never accept someone who says, don't think for yourself. Please be very careful about this. You have to accept this guru is a great soul, avatara. He is Shiva himself, he is Vishnu himself. One fellow crook they have caught in Chennai who was abusing his girl students, and he, it seems, claimed he was Krishna. And he runs a school. He does a business out of it. How can you, without, if you have common sense, how can you accept some crook like that? It is so easy in India. Any rascal crook will take up and say, I am an avatara, I am the Shiva. And he is loaded with gold, and you cannot approach him. He flies around in helicopters. His room is on the 10th floor, and you don't know what's happening there. Sri Ramakrishna lived in a room which has 4 doors, and he hardly had any cloth on his body. And his disciples tested him day and night. Swami Vivekananda says, I tested my guru every inch of the way for 6 years. There is nothing to hide. And you go on building complexes and these things worth crores of rupees, and whatever you sell is very costly. Why are your things so costly? Oh, I use this money to serve the poor people. We also serve. We take it through donations. We don't make a business of raising money by selling things for very costly rates. We also collect money. We also do seva. It is by the donation given by the general public. Donations, if you give to Ramakrishna Mutt or Ramakrishna Mission a donation of 10,000 rupees, we will not accept cash. You have to give it in cash. You have to give your PAN number. Without that, we don't accept your donation. I can tell you openly. So many people, they come to give black money. We have not accepted. Lakhs of rupees we don't accept. 10,000 rupees, if you want to donate, give it by check. Some centers are even strict. More than 5,000, they don't accept cash. People say, Swamiji, it's not convenient. Okay. But if it is 5,000 and above, you have to give your PAN number. Now, even before that, we say, give your PAN number. Only then we take your donation. There are people who will take lakhs of rupees in all forms. And they say we are very spiritual because we are going to use it for some service somewhere and someone is benefited. The means is as important as the end. If your means are not straight, you take something black and you say you are going to do a white service, there is something wrong there. So use your common sense to judge where and what you should follow. I cannot tell that. Okay. Sadhu darshanam papa vimochanam. Seeing a monk will purify your mind. Not necessarily, okay. When you see a vairagi, it will purify your mind in the sense it will awaken a spirit of renunciation in you. Only then it purifies the mind. Simply seeing someone, it is not going to purify your mind. You see an ice cream, you will start salivating. I want to eat this. That is because you have samskaras of having eaten that ice cream earlier. Now you see a sannyasi is supposed to have renounced all the sense pleasures and then the ego sublimated that. If you have not had any practice in that and you have no understanding of what it means, how will it purify the mind? It will purify if you develop that spirit of renunciation. We have that tradition in India. Here in South, people go Shabarimalai, they wear black dress. Those who smoke, they give up smoking for a 15 days, 1 month. They will go barefooted. They will sleep on the floor. They will not eat their non-veg if they are non-veg eaters. They will not smoke. They will not drink. Why you will not do? No, I am now male potrike. They say, they am wearing this mala. I have taken this vrata. Until I go to Shabarimala and offer my worship, I will be following these restraints, self-restraints. So it is associated. For part of, say, 15 days, 1 month, he practices it. So that kind of a restraint is what a monastic life is all about. That should remind us about. Certainly, it will purify if it is taken in that spirit, not simply seeing. I heard Divine Life Society of Swami Shivananda also teach yoga and residential course. Yes. Correct. You're very correct. That is also a traditional school. Certainly, if you are from that part of India, and they have centers across India where they teach the traditional way. The Divine Life Societies, certainly. How to study Bhagavad Gita? First, read the Gita on your own with direct translation. Read Gita with direct translation, not interpretation. Interpretation, if you want, you read later. There are so many people claiming this is exactly what Gita told. This is Gita as it is. Our interpretation is the correct interpretation. Don't go for all that nonsense. There are people who interpret it as they want. That doesn't mean it is wrong. But that to claim that this is the only correct interpretation is wrong. This is what Krishna told. Don't say that. This is what I understand that what Krishna has told. That is okay with us. So you read Gita on your own first. And when you're reading, please understand there are terms there which are used in different meanings. Atma is used sometimes for the conscious Jivatma, sometimes for the mind, and sometimes Buddhi comes there. Where it is used in what sense? A simple definition of that shloka will help you. We have books like that. We have also the interpretation of Shankara, the interpretation of Ramanujacharya, the interpretation of Madhusudana Saraswati. From the Ramakrishna Mission, we have published Gita as interpreted by Shankaracharya, as interpreted by Ramanujacharya, as interpreted by Madhusudana Saraswati. We have it. We also have a book where we simply give the meaning of the shloka as it is, not interpreting it. So Swami Vivekananda's disciple, Swarupananji, he gave that interpretation. We have that. Then we have one very good Swami Tapasyananji's interpretation. Not interpretation, but just a description with little interpretation, Vedantic interpretation. We have that. We have Vireshwarananji Maharaj, one of our presidents who interpreted it. And as I said, this commentary on Gita by Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. We have translation, English translation of these three commentaries. First, read Gita, try to understand that simple meaning as it is. Don't go for anyone who says this is the correct interpretation of Gita. This is the only way Gita is to be understood. We only know what it is. That one sidedness is fanaticism. And there will be no peace in society because they scold everyone else. They look down on everyone else other than their method, their tradition. Ours is the purest tradition. We only know what is correct. That is what we call fanaticism. And there has been so much blood shed on this earth because of such fanatic interpretation of God's message. Suggest some books. I will say read Vivekananda. Why? Because there is no one sidedness in Vivekananda. What is a safer way to find a real guru for us amid such mixture of real guru and so called gurus? Pray intensely to God. Pray to God. Certainly. Intensely, every day. Pray to God. Pray to God. Whoever it is, wherever you are, pray to God intensely. I want to go forward, realize the truth. Please lead me. Please lead me. You don't need a pujari to do that, right? Do it in your own language. And you don't need any mantras also. Can't you talk with God? If you are hungry for a guru, certainly you will know how to pray to God. Pray to Him with one pointed attention every day. Pray to Him. Please guide me. Please guide me. And in your heart of hearts, you will know. As you keep praying, don't see the first fellow in Garwa, oh, God has sent me my guru. In 3 days, he replied. Because you want all 2-minute Maggie noodles? One prayer is so powerful. See, today itself, I got my guru. Don't do that. And when you go also, you should, as I told you, someone who is not accessible to you, someone who charges money for any darshan, and who says, my techniques are only if you pay this money, this much amount. That should not be. That should not be. Because it is always compromised. And someone who says, enjoy the world and also have God realization. There are many who do that now. You don't have to renounce at all. That is all hogwash. Stay where you are. Enjoy. And you will also be spiritual. Many people go for this. But that is not what tradition teaches us. That is not what tradition teaches us. You will have to use your common sense in that. I am reading Bhagavad Gita by Swami Adidevanandji, Mysore Ashrama. Yeah. Good. Maharaj, if you want to do social services, then giving only money to needy people, will it count as service? Yes, it is a service in a sense because it is your hard-earned money. You are parting with your hard-earned money. Certainly it is a service. But how long will that be? You write a check in 5 minutes. You do a money transfer in 3 minutes. The bhava, the intention, the purpose should be very noble. I will pray to God. I wish I could physically serve them. I am not having much time. But I have this. You have given me the strength to give money because it is not easy to donate money. Very, very rich people, they cannot donate money because it sticks to their palms. Money sticks to their hands. They cannot give money. If you are able to donate, it is a sign of progress. It is a sign of progress. Donate it to a noble cause and be prayerful and be grateful that that donation has been accepted. And once you donate, don't go and track it and expect any returns from it. Even the sense of gratitude should not be expected. Where you give it as an offering to God. Will you expect God to be grateful because you offered him that your coconut and your bananas and your garland. You expect God be grateful I gave you all this? You don't expect. You'll be grateful that it has been accepted. Same thing when you give to anyone. It is the Lord whom you are serving through the fellow human beings. Be grateful if they accept. Have that bhava. Conduct a class for tension, stress, anxiety. We have done that. We have done that. Please see our old classes. It's all on our YouTube. Stress and tension comes because of desire and because of inability to accept other people's conduct, and I am unable to accept circumstances, situations as they are unfolding. I don't want this COVID. Someone passed away, my family member passed away, my work is suffering, I lost my job. None of them are under my control, right? Corona is not under my control. A relative passed away, it is not under my control. I lost a job, it is not under my control. What is in my control, I should know and exercise and work for it. That is accepting life. Life is full of challenges. Accept it. You are at least alive, right? You are not dead. You are still alive. So see how do you make best out of what you can do. Reduce. Reduce your expenditure. Reduce your desires. A traditional Indian way has always been saving for the rainy day. If you have been like that, this will not be a very difficult time to pass. Is devotion towards God is the highest happiness. Why do you want to compare all this? When the devotee is having perfect devotion, raga bhakti, the highest devotion which the gopikas had for Krishna, that is the highest happiness. There are different gradations in that. Same thing a karma yogi will have when he serves people, seeing the God in them. The same thing the Raja Yogi experiences when the mind is perfectly still and the inner light, inner bliss is experienced by him. Same thing the Gnana Yogi also experiences when through that vichara, Viveka and vichara, he sees himself as separate from this body, mind, ego, and he is in his own Atma Anubhava. Now, to compare them is not necessary. Whether you eat your Sri Ramakrishna says, you have a sugar candy, whether you lick it from above, side, or below, it is sugar anyway. Why bother? Why, which side, if I lick, is more tasty? Sugar candy, whichever side you may lick, it doesn't matter. Simply eat the sugar candy. Yeah, I think I have answered all the class questions. Thank you. Please see if you can start learning some basic asanas, Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar. There are again first type of Surya Namaskar, second type of Surya Namaskar. These two types of Surya Namaskars, if you learn, and basic stretchings, spine has to be stretched vertically, it has to be stretched sideways, it has to be stretched again in other three ways. The stretching has to, spine has to be done, neck also, and then Surya Namaskara. This itself will help a lot. And then practicing one asana, whichever that asana, Sukhasana, Padmasana, Virasana, something which you will see within 6 months you are comfortable, the body is steady, and it is no longer distracting you. See if you can get into that posture. Is listening to many monks for understanding spiritual thoughts good, or listening to only one person good and follow one path of thought process? Many Swamis from different traditions, if you listen, it will confuse you. It will confuse you. Say there is someone from the Kriya Yoga tradition, and next you listen to me from the more like a Vedantic tradition, and someone from a devotional path. There are traditions which say devotion to Krishna is the only sadhana for life. Your Kali and all are baby girls. Krishna is the only supreme God. You go into that tradition. Not that it is wrong. Go in any one tradition, stay in that tradition. But I preferred the tradition of Ramakrishna Vivekananda because there is no fanaticism here. We worship Krishna, we worship Rama, we worship Kali, we worship Buddha, we worship Mahavir, we worship even Prophet Buddha, Prophet Muhammad also. We accept and we celebrate the Jesus Christ birthday also. We worship Jesus also. We accept all prophets. We accept all incarnations. So I am comfortable in this tradition. And in this tradition, we have Vedanta, we have yoga. It's a combination of both. And Swamiji insisted that a follower of Sri Ramakrishna should practice all the four yogas: Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. To claim that there is only one yoga and this yoga is the best yoga, the others are all baby yogas, that kind of one sidedness, uh, it's many traditions are like that. They become one sided. Raja Yoga is the only path, or it is the greatest path. Jnana is the only path, the others are for weaklings. Because they are not fit, they have to do that. Otherwise, direct Jnana. And even those who are unfit for it, they get into that and they think, why try something lower? Let me directly try. Like that fellow who wanted Samadhi. Forget all the seven Angas. Samadhi, last one, I am directly ready for it. People are under this misconception. They live an animal life and they think they will practice only Jnana Yoga. The safest is what I quoted Swamiji when I began this class. What is it? Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Internal, it is in the form of your samskaras. External, heat, cold, and all these dualities. Someone praises you, someone throws bricks at you. So, external nature is disturbing you. Controlling nature, external and internal, manifest the divinity within. That is the goal. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. Work is karma yoga, worship is bhakti yoga, psychic control is raja yoga, philosophy is gnana yoga. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy. By one or more or all of this. Only one path, go ahead. These two you want to combine, very good, go ahead. All of them you want to combine, that is the ideal Vivekananda gives. Go ahead. Be free, that is the goal. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas. This is the only path. This is the greatest avatara. This is the only true God. That nonsense. Doctrines or dogmas like that, or rituals. Oh, if you don't do this puja, nothing will happen. Those rituals like that. Or books. This book is the only truest book. This is the greatest book. This is the best interpretation of Gita. This is the only true interpretation of Gita. That kind of nonsense books or temples or forms. This murti of the God is the most powerful murti. Doctrines or dogmas or rituals or books or temples or forms are but secondary details. Don't make them primary. Like that question, vegetarianism. Don't make that primary. That is secondary. Primary is, do you love God? Do you love God? Why do you want to get stuck with this food business? So the main purpose is to manifest the inner divinity. That is the goal of life. For that, if you go with a tradition, whatever it is, if you are listening to different swamis, try to see it is from the same tradition. Listening to, say, something from the Vedantic tradition like this, listening to something very pure Advaitic tradition, where they say this other things are all not okay, only Gnana, this thing, that one once. And next Friday, listening to someone who says bhakti and that too only to this Krishna or someone is the only thing. And Sunday you listen to this class, and Monday you go to this Kriya Yoga class. You will get confused. And then new Babajis have come, this technique, that yoga, this Kriya, this Paddhati, that engineering, and you get confused with everything. Don't do that. You will not progress. It is like digging well in 10 places. Sri Ramakrishna says, dig well in one place. Wherever it is that you have taken, have faith, be pure, practice all this ahimsa, yama niyamas you practice, then you will see. If you are sincere in your prayers, you will be led on the right path. That is the main thing. It is not the Guru himself. You may find the best Guru. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's Guru, he lived in Dakshineshwar Kali temple. There were many who thought he was mad. Many. The priest, other priests in the temple, the manager, they thought he is a mad fellow. But the owner, Mathur Babu, his mother-in-law, Rani Rasmani, Keshav Chandra Sen, the biggest man spiritual man in India in that time in Calcutta, and all the other saints, traditional saints, they all accepted him. They accepted him not just as a saint, but as an avatara. Bhairava Brahmani, Vaishnava Charan, Gauri Pandit, these are all very big sadhakas. They came and said, this is an avatara. But the temple manager and common people, they said, he is a mental fellow. So you may come to a great guru and not know it if you are not ready for it. So don't think that getting into a good hotel, you will get good meal. Coming to see a good guru, you will become a great disciple. You have to prepare yourself for that. For that, you pray to God. Can you please recommend some books of Swami Vivekananda's to start reading with? I don't know what you're studying, so I cannot tell you that. And what is your age? I don't know. Read Swamiji's Colombo to Almora. Colombo to Almora. I serve as editor of a magazine. I am based in Chennai, Sri Ramakrishna Mat Chennai. This is the magazine, the Vedanta Kesari. This is a magazine Swamiji himself started as Brahmavadin. Later, the name was changed. And every issue, center spread, we have the message of Vivekananda, which is being designed for the youth only. Vivekananda Way, it is called. Every issue of Vedanta Kesari has the center spread, Vivekananda Way. It is on the web also. You just now Google up vivekanandaway.org. You will get that. All the Vivekananda Ways which has come for the last 3 years, it is there, free, downloadable. Start reading that. That is interpreting Vivekananda for the youth. I would say that will be easy for you to understand. Yeah. Thank you. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.